Is this a W ranking? Let's find out. Thank you to our fellow patrons, Red Wolf 4765, Midnight Gem Lord, and Sean. Another thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, and Red Wolf 4765. And a very big thank you to our $10 patron, Robbie Uchiha. Another very big thank you to our $25 patron, Alex Ice Rose. Another very big thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. Now, we're having this breakdown / live reaction to all Culling Games fights ranked by Eternal Flame. Please leave your own list of the Culling Games fights in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll link that little notification bell to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon below as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, let's hop into the live reaction. What's up, guys? Once again, here we are to do a live reaction to Eternal Flames, all Culling Games fights ranked. And I probably shouldn't do this because I still haven't released my own ranking yet, and I need to do that. The fact that I haven't done that, even though the Culling Games fights have been over a while now, it's kind of crazy. So I do need to go back and rank them myself. So I won't tell you my general ranking. I won't tell you mine, because I do want to do that for my own video. But I will be analyzing Eternal Flames, and I'll be giving you my thoughts on the fights in very general terms. So let's do that. And I'll still do who knows, I'll see. But leave your own list, your own ranking of the Culling Games fights in the comments down below. And please, if you want to see the original video without all my pausing and yapping and yammering, please, the link to the original video will be in the description. You can go peep that real quick. The link to the link to Eternal Flames channel will be in the description down below as well, so you can go check his channel out. He makes fantastic content, and I think you should go check it out if you have not already, and make sure you go do that. Now, let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello everyone, Eternal
Hello.
Flame here to talk about ranking the fights that all happened during the Culling game and rank all 12 fights from my most favorite to least favorite.
I guess, fights. I mean, for some reason, when I think fights, I think of the colonies. I guess that is different. Now that's way more complicated. I didn't even think about that. What's the lowest one? Let me take a guess. What's the lowest one? What's his name versus Takaba? What's his name? He literally is a reference. Hattori Hanzo. I think, is it Hanzo? What's his name? Whatever his name was. The guy who could, like, detonate his body parts. What was his name? I forget his name entirely. Hazunoki. I think that's his name. Hazunoki is his name. I think that'll be the lowest, because, like, what else is there? 12? I'm trying to think. At 12? I don't know. Let me let him hop into it, because I'm blown away. 12? I'll definitely talk about my opinions here. Forget this. This is a completely different ranking than what I thought it was. Let's hop right into it.
Now this might actually surprise a lot of you that there are 12 fights that I'm talking about and not
Clearly
5, because people know there's like mainly 5 fights, etc. So I'm going to tell you right now what I'm splitting these fights into, and then we're going to actually get straight into the list, which is Yuji versus Team Helicopter Man. I don't remember his name. Yuji versus Higuruma. Megumi versus Reggie's group. Takaba versus Hazunoki. Megumi versus Reggie Star. Yuta versus Kuroushi. Yuta versus Uro, which is like the little section before Ryu hops in. The Sendai Free-For-All. Hakari versus Charles. Panda versus Kashimo. Hakari versus Kashimo. And ending with Team Maki versus Cursed Naoya. These are going to be all the fights that are going to be talked about in this video. So, I'm really curious to see what your guys' ranking is in the comment section below. Be sure to subscribe as well, since we're already here. And
yeah, make sure you subscribe, and once again, leave your own rankings out of those 12 fights too. Shoot, I was ready to just tell you all the colony ranking, but nah, leave the whole 12 ranking. That's crazy.
Let's get straight into this. Though there's one thing I want to say before we actually get into this. This is going to be my favorite fights. Some of these might objectively be worse fights than others, like narrative-wise, that I rank higher or lower. However, if I like a fight,
Higuruma versus Utadori is going to be low. Because I'd say out of all the characters, Itadori versus Higuruma is like the best. Well, ooh. See, the thing is, Sakurajima Colony is really good for Maki. It is really good for Maki. But, like, Itadori has main character hype. And like that dynamic in that battle is so much better than the dynamic between a run back of Maki and Naoya. Something we had gotten, I believe, like what 40ish chapters before already. It was just human Naoya versus Maki. So like we had already kind of got Naoya versus Maki. So seeing a run back of it will hit less different than seeing Itadori deal with his guilt and emotional trauma from the Shibuya incident. But I assume that's going to be low. I know that Colony is generally ranked low amongst the Colony rankings alone. Like Tokyo Colony 1, 2, whichever one it is. I usually see that like near the bottom of most people's rankings. People are like, oh, well, it's not as hype, it's not as interesting, it's not as crazy. Mainly because like Higuruma and Itadori are like out of even the only people less hacks than them is Hakari. But even then, I'd say scale of fight wise, Itadori versus Higuruma is very small scale. Every other fight, except for like Helicopter Dude, even Helicopter Dude is bigger scale than Higuruma versus Itadori. Higuruma versus Itadori is very like close knit, very interpersonal, and like when you're ranking the fights, so a lot of people technically go by scale and spectacle. So people usually like lower that fight on their rankings, or lower that colony in general because of the general lower stakes. So I understand it. Let's see.
More than, yeah, it's getting higher. Also taking narrative impact and writing into account, but it's not going to be the main deciding factor. It's going to be how much or how little I actually like the fight. Anyways, let's get into it.
Okay, before he gets into it. No, I get that. I get that being the bottom. Though admittedly, I think out of the 12, since this isn't a colony ranking, I'll talk about my own colony ranking later. I would put Takuma versus Hazanoki at the bottom. Like, Takuma's funny, but he's not like my kind of funny. I'm sorry, I've been bugging horn like crazy today. so I need to once again stay hydrated, folks. Stay hydrated, drink water. But yeah, this being the bottom makes sense, but I really like the scale of this fight. Is that weird to say? Like, I like how Itadori grabs someone and slams them through a building. I like how Itadori pitches the stone with curse energy, like he picked that up from Toto. I think that's neat. I just like the fight. Like, in terms of just like sheer spectacle, I think this is like a really good fight. Like, it's debatably better than some fights that I think are above it. Just based on like how cool it shows that Itadori is. And even like the conclusion where Itadori just straight bops the head, though. Comparably, I still understand why it's at the bottom. Like, there's no narrative impact. There's no anything special character stuff. You never see these guys again. The most important character from this fight isn't even a fighter. Like, it's, well, obviously, other than Itadori. But, like, the one enemy from this fight that actually matters is that one dude from that one school that Itadori encountered. He literally shows up in chapter 220, but I already forget his name. Like, he's the one who saved Angel. So, like, that is the only thing that matters from this fight, realistically. Other than that, this fight is literally just filler. Or, like, an introduction to the metrics of the Culling game, which wasn't even necessarily needed, to be completely real. But let's see.
So, let's start out with the worst fight out of all the Culling game sites, in my opinion. Yuji versus Team Helicopter Man. This is when Yuji has to fight, like, the two people who have, like, jet-like abilities, and I don't have much to say about this entire fight. I like Helicopter Man as a meme, but at the same time, this fight was a filler fight. We all know it was a filler fight. I'm not going to go too in-depth with it. Though it is good that we got to see more of Yuji's combat IQ in that fight, but yeah. It just gets overshadowed, and it's a filler fight, like I said.
Yeah. Once again, he's right. It's just a Yuji. It's really just a Yuji spectacle thing. I think, like, if I had to think why Gege would do that fight, right, and not off-screen it, because notably we dedicated a whole chapter to that. That was a whole chapter of that fight. And meanwhile, Megumi versus, what's her name? Remy, I think her name is. Megumi versus Remy was done off-screen. Like, we just see the aftermath of their little scuffle. So I think the reason that was given to Itadori is because Itadori in Shibuya, he has a really high moment versus Mahito, but he doesn't actually get the dub on Mahito. Well, he does, but he doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Because Kenjaku steals that. He steals Mahito. So I think that was Gege literally just being like, oh, don't worry, Itadori's still him. And this is right after the Itadori extermination arc where Yuta low diffed him. So I bet Gege was like, right before we go into this, I don't want people to believe like Yuji's fodder or anything like that. Let me have him just stomp two randoms. That's what I have to assume the narrative reason behind that fight is. Because it is super random. Don't get me wrong. Like, a guy with a helicopter for a head and a woman with a jet engine. Like, it seems super weird and random. I still remember opening up that chapter for the first time and be like, huh? But within the context of like trying to remind the audience that Yuji is still him, giving him a nice quick dub to work with and rock with, to remind you, that makes sense. But overall, especially in comparison to the other fights here, makes sense why it's the lowest. And once again, this is what I thought I was gonna be at the bottom. Takaba versus Hazanoki, because nothing happens in that fight. Like, nothing actually happens in this fight. Like, other than Takaba showing off his ability and it getting explained to us, nothing really happens here. And it's kind of, I don't know, I always found it boring because I don't find Takaba funny. Like, I know that's bad, that's wrong. I love Takaba, but I love him as like a failed comedian. I think that's the point. I don't think Takaba's, I wonder if Gege actually writes Takaba thinking he's supposed to be funny, or if it's supposed to be awkward and cringy. And like, that's the joke. I'm not sure if Takaba's the joke or if Takaba's jokes are the joke. I'm not entirely sure. What do you guys find Takaba funny outside of in his like jokey stuff like that, in his jokey fights? I don't, but I understand if other people do. Let me know down below. Let's see, Takaba versus Hazanoki. I think Hazanoki's cool though. I wish he had come back because he didn't die. Like, he's not, to be fair, he's not too powerful. Obviously, he was allied with Reggie and stuff like that. But like, his detonation ability is really, really neat. I think it could have been cool to see him wander around and do some more stuff, but I guess not. Let's see.
And now on to number 11, which is another filler fight, but it's much more entertaining in comparison, which is Takaba versus Hazanoki. This is Takaba's like first introduction, and it was really funny to see how Hazanoki, a serious character, or like semi-serious jokester of a character, kind of, just has to deal with this complete and absolute meme lord of a character, and him just getting infuriated and fed up with it and just like, no, I'm leaving, I'm not fighting you, no, I don't have to deal with this, good day. And yeah, like, that fight was really, really short, like, honestly, yeah. So another filler fight, but it was a funny filler fight.
Oh, the victimization of Panda. I understand why that's so low, but yeah. It's like, I like Takaba versus Hazanoki because it gets to show off more of Hazanoki. I think Hazanoki's super cool. I don't know why. Like, he doesn't do much. He doesn't do much of anything. He doesn't even actually like take out Megami. He does extreme damage to Megami, but doesn't actually take him out. He doesn't succeed at anything he tries. But Hazanoki's really, really cool. It's the first time we see RCT used casually. Like, think about it. Like, every single other time we've seen RCT, it was used in like extreme situations by Shoko. Like, oh no, someone desperately needs healing, or it's been like, do we even see RCT being used through? Well, yeah. The other major serious situation is in the Gojo's past arc, where Gojo uses it to literally escape death. Like, it's super crazy. Meanwhile, Hazanoki kind of just has it. Like, it goes to show you that even the randoms of ancient times are really like that. Like, RCT is just a common thing that people like them have. Though, admittedly, I agree. Like, someone pointed this out to me. It is weird that characters like Hazanoki get confirmed RCT, but characters like Ryu don't have it. Characters like Kashimo don't have it. Characters like Uro don't have it. Or at least from what I can tell, they seem to not be able to have it. They don't show it off in any of their fights. So I don't think any of them even have the most basic level of RCT, but Hazanoki does? Like, that seems a little bit weird. I agree with them on that. Like, that does seem a little bit off, but hey, you know, you gotta balance them somehow. Once again, everything's a little bit about balancing. Like, if Uro or Ryu could like heal, or Kashimo could heal, heavens forbid, it'd be rough. But still, it's neat. I like Hazanoki. Takaba in that fight, it's kind of for me. I think that would be my bottom out of the 12 he mentioned. But let's see. Oh lord, let's see the violation of Panda.
And now on to number 10, where we're moving on from filler fights to jobber fights. And to start out with number 10, we have Panda versus Kashimo, where Panda got jobbed really, really badly. The thing that's carrying this fight is Panda's backstory reveal and just that entire thing. But also there's the entire thing of Panda's true form just got one shot. It got to show off how really, really cool Kashimo is.
That's the thing I kind of don't get. Like, what is Panda, bro? Like, other than he's a panda, like, you know what? Isn't that like in the chapter extra, like, everyone gets like these deep detailed explanations, and then like with Panda, I think Gege literally just writes like, he's Panda, or he just writes Panda. Like, it may be Panda in bold text up top for the title name, and then Panda, just period. Like, that's it. I know it's usually the explanation we get for him, but like, what is he? What's the point of him? Like, notably, I guess he's built a job for Kashimo, but like, did anyone even pre-Culling games find Panda that impressive? Like, he beat Mechamaru, I guess, but like, who was really like running to the field, like sprinting, being like, oh, Panda, Panda, our Lord and Savior, Panda. Like, jobbing him, I don't know. I never, like, I get it. He is legitimately a jobber. He's right. This is a jobber fight. But, like, why him? Especially considering right before the Culling games, we had this whole thing with Principal Yaga being executed and like setting up that Panda was really going to do stuff. He's probably going to get like a cursed energy amp or something from losing his father and the pain he felt and stuff like that. It really felt like Panda was about to step up and do something. And then he got bullied and had to seemingly strongest variation get mopped. Like his big sister got absolutely destroyed for like just like light work, and it's not like we had any hype or any scaling for where the big sister went. So like I generally don't get what Gege. I feel like Panda has. I mean, who knows? There's a month. Maybe Panda will get like a crazy amp, and he'll be the one to take down Sukuna and Kenjaku in one hit each. But like, it feels like if the series was longer, Panda would have done something more important, other than just job for Kashimo. A character who realistically didn't need jobbing. Like, maybe the only hypothetical reason I could see why Gege went out of his way to job Panda for Kashimo is because he kind of underwhelmed the reader with the 100-point stuff with Higuruma. Because Higuruma ended up being relatively weak for a guy with 100 points, and a lot of it just appeared to be like, oh, he just domain, took away their curse technique, GG'd them. Like, that's not fair. And obviously Higuruma's grade 1. But, like, to establish that, oh, yeah, the one guy with 100 points, Higuruma, he may have been, like, a casual for the most part. He was just new to it. Nah, Kashimo's different. He's an ancient sorcerer. Let me show him styling on Panda. I think that was mainly it. But even then, to sacrifice Panda for that, I don't think it was worth it. I think you could have just, like how you job Drew for Yuta to show off how cool Yuta is, like, I think you should have just done something like that. Have Kashimo, like, give us a chapter, or even half a chapter, building up to somebody new, like someone of grade 1 level, or that tier, have them wandering around. You can even have Panda watch it, do something like that, so Panda doesn't get reduced to nothing, like he gets here. And notably, like, and it's revealed in this backstory, that, like, his sister and his brother die. So does he even have their curse technique anymore? Whatever the sister's ability was, I don't think we ever got to see it. And the drumming thing, does he even have those curse techniques anymore? Or is he done? I think he's done, because that whole little backstory chapter we get is literally them dying. Like, it shows how them dying. And then we cut to the end of the chapter, and Kashimo literally has Panda's head on a stick. So, like, what was the point of that? You just introduced Panda, hyped him up for him to get reduced to nothing, because base Panda's fodder. And he was fodder even in the gorilla forms. I have no idea what he's going to do now that he's lost gorilla form. Now he's lost Triceratops. I don't know. This whole little event was weird. Very, very weird. It was a weird way to enter Kashimo versus Hakari. Kashimo versus Hakari was peak, but like this whole little thing with Panda is so weird to me. But let's see.
However, just overall, this fight is not as good. Y'all know it was going to be at this low of a position. It was just mainly Panda getting beaten up. But that's what most of Panda's fights come down to ultimately. Hey, yo. Anyways.
Why you have to style on him like that? Megami versus Reggie at 9? At 9? I mean, I get it. Like, part of me gets it, right? Because Reggie, I mean, he's cool. I don't know. Like, then again, I'm thinking in comparison, like the competition here. You got Higuruma versus Itadori. You got Kashimo versus Hakari. You got Yuta versus the Sendai trio, or the Sendai squadron. That's what I like to call it. The Sendai squadron, or technically the Sendai trio, because he kind of off-screens Drew. I don't think he even mentioned Drew as a fight here because it's so irrelevant. And then you have Maki versus Naoya again. Like, I guess, yeah, I suppose, like, it's the weakest, but I think Reggie's super cool. And, like, seeing Megami, like, give more and more into, like, his heritage as a sorcerer slayer, I think that's really, really neat, too. I like that. I like the characterization that this gives Megami. But I suppose that's the colony, not necessarily the fight itself. Seeing Megami use Domain again is really, really cool, though. And also, Reggie's technique is just super neat. Like, him dropping houses on Megami, him driving trucks, using drone, like, all that. Reggie is super interesting as a combatant. He's fodder. Don't get me wrong, but he's interesting. I don't know. 9 is kind of crazy. Like, especially if we're counting, like, Uro versus Yuta and Uro versus Kuro as, like, independent fights. I think I would slide it up higher. Does it break the top 4? Probably not. Even still, even with all the things I like about Reggie and that battle and what it does for Megami's character. But, like, still, I don't Oh, 9? Let's see what he has to say, though.
And up next, onto another jobber fight, which is Megami versus Reggie's group. No, this is not including, like, the end part where Megami does fight Reggie. This is just him versus the group and, like,
Okay. So it is going to be higher. All right, so this is fine. That's fine. Yeah, because this fight is really short. It's what, like half a chapter? This fight ain't that long. I understand why it's low.
Bit of Reggie, where we get to see Megami and how he handles a 4v1, and he does really, really well. Like, Megami looks really, really cool. He reaches into his Toji bag for a bit, and we get to see that inner Toji in Megami, and we get to see why Megami is truly him. And yeah, just getting to see Megami fight like that, it's amazing. The thing that really put this fight up a bit in comparison, because originally Kashimo versus Panda was going to be here, but because of what's recently happened in the manga with the entire Sakuna thing, I felt like just seeing Megami fight again, it made me want to put him higher on this list. I put him a bit higher than Panda versus Kashimo.
Oh, that's another one that I think that should be kind of high. I think Yuta versus Kuro is really cool. Kuroshi's like not the most interesting curse. That's a lie. Let me not even lie to y'all. But Kuroshi's a pretty interesting combatant. Like, I like the way he uses the cockroaches. Ooh, the sack technique, though. I don't like that. I don't like the sack technique. Where he summons those insects with the... Yeah, maybe. You know what? Yuta versus Kuro is right where it belongs. To give my opinion on the fight real quick, I think Yuta versus Kuro is really neat. It's the first time since JJK0 that we actually get to see Yuta struggle a little bit. Sure, he's massively suppressed. Sure, he's trying to not use RCT. He's trying not to show off his kit. But, like, this is the first time in the modern series where we don't see Yuta low diff somebody. Every single fighter before this, whether it be Choso, Yuta, that one random cursed spirit upon his introduction, and Dhruv, like everyone else, he just low diffs. So like the first mid diff fight we get to see from Yuta is really, really neat. I like it a lot. And I like how Kuro forces Yuta to strategize in different ways that he wouldn't. Like, and introducing the whole idea that cursed spirits can be executed by a kiss on the lips. Like that, I think that's really, really nice. I think this fight introduces a lot of nice, unique aspects and gives us things of the series that we really get to see. Like Yuta struggling, a curse at all fighting independently, which we haven't gotten since this fight, I'm pretty sure. So like I think it's neat. Though I understand why it's relatively low, especially in comparison to his competition. Kuro isn't much of a character in comparison to like Yuta or Ryu. And then what, this is number 8, so there are 7 slots above. So that's what, Kashimo versus Hakari, Higuruma versus Itadori, Hakari versus Kashimo, the Sendai free-for-all, which Kuro gets another spotlight in anyway, Maki Gang, Reggie, and then two more above that. What else is left? Think, pencil, think. Oh, Ryu and Uro. So yeah, like I agree. At 8 makes sense. 8 makes sense for this fight because it doesn't really do anything that the other fights do. It's Kuro's lack of character that really does him in here that would put him at 8. So it makes sense.
And now on to number 8, an actual fight that's not just a filler fight. Yuta versus Kurorushi. Now this fight is honestly really underrated in my opinion. Like, yeah, I'm still putting it at this position, but it's still really underrated. Like, there are a lot of really cool moments in this fight, like how Kurorushi uses his entire technique, summoning like a bunch of bugs that rip themselves out of Yuta. Like, it's really cool. I love Kurorushi as like a fighter. I don't love Kurorushi as a character. Kurorushi is boring as a character, but he's interesting to me. And just seeing...
Hey, he loves the taste of iron. Don't... I can't even be serious about that. He loves the taste of iron, so don't sleep. Nah, you can sleep. In fact, I sleep on Kurorushi too. I actually hit myself in the head with my sword. Ow. But let's see.
Yuta have conversation with a cursed spirit and just coming to the conclusion of, I have to kill this thing. It's a really cool build-up for another thing, which is the entire how Yuta treats the Sendai fighters later, and how he specifies between them. It just shows how Yuta's mentality is. Yuta's entire mentality on choosing whether he wants to save a person or whether he kills a person. And Kurorushi was chosen as a person he just needed to kill. And then finally, seeing the reveal that Yuta has, not the reveal, seeing that Yuta has reverse curse technique and the reaction from the other players of Uro and Ryu, it's like, oh, this guy's a threat. Just that all happened in the Kurorushi fight. It was honestly a really good fight in my opinion. But
that is one of the most metal poses Yuta's ever taken. Like, him straight up and like the body of Kuro falling from his hands, like that is so metal. That's one of my favorite shots of Yuta, because it goes to show like how visceral this man can be. This man is a monster. Like that's why Ryu and Earl react like they do, like because like Yuta is like that, dog. Don't sleep on Yuta. I know all of you who think I'm a Yuta hater, like, don't sleep on Yuta. Take your own advice. That's true. I will. Give me some time. But yeah, I really like this fight.
Don't think I can really rank it any higher than this. And now, up next, we...
That ain't Karushi. No, I guess I know that happened though. That happens to me too sometimes. Whenever you're making ranking videos, like sometimes you, because I don't know how he does it, but the way I do it, my editing software, I can literally just copy and paste over like ranking and stuff like that. And what I'll do is I'll like have a blank template, have like number this, number that, and then name, and then like a subtitle. And then usually I'll just like do it, split it all up in the audio, cut it all out, and then every single transition I just drag it over. If I'm not paying too much attention, I will just like copy and paste, and it'll be like a copied name or a missing name or something like that, because I forgot to edit the template. So I understand that, making that mistake right there. Makes sense. Let's see.
Yuta versus Uro, and some of you guys might just be thinking right now, you should include this in the free-for-all. Why is it not in the free-for-all? And that's for one reason and one reason alone. I feel Uro versus Yuta deserves its own spot purely because of the cool start it had to it, where Uro just appeared out of nowhere and whispered.
That was really metal. That you know, like that's when Earl kind of caught my attention as a character, because she really like pulled up. Because notably, she was nowhere near close to the fight, and like Yuta didn't even properly sense her. He noticed her when she let him notice her. So like her pulling up and be like, "So you have reverse curse technique," and then like Yuta immediately turning to swing, but then getting slammed. Like, yo, that was so cool. I really like that. That was so neat to see. I love that intro. That he is right. The intro to that fight is so crazy, and I really do like this fight because once again, this is something that you don't get to see all too often. One, a really cool curse technique. Sky manipulation is probably, out of all the techniques introduced in the Culling games, even more than Hakari's, even more, well, Yuta's doesn't count. So, because it doesn't count. Because we already know what that was. But more than Ryu's, more than Kashimo's, we don't get to see his technique, but the Curse Energy trade, more than Hakari's, more than Higuruma's, more than Regi's. I think Sky Manipulation is my favorite technique that Gege introduced in the Culling games ever. Like, even if you, like, try to count kenjaku and stuff like that, and include, Yuki's like Bombaye as part of the Culling games, which he hasn't here, and I wouldn't if I was doing a ranking of the fights. Like, even with that included, I still think Sky Manipulation is so cool. Freeform flight, the ability to drag your opponent's attacks like this, the ability to grab attacks or projectiles out of midair, spin them around and throw them back. Like, I just think it's so cool. Like, the funds, but then again, that's me just like having a general interest in like flight-based techniques. Like, I would love to be able to like hit a running start, jump into the air, glide into Sky Manipulation, grab like a building, yeah, well, maybe not a building, but like my opponent throws an attack at me, I spin, throw it back at them, then immediately charge in, they go to punch me, weave, drag them, slam. Like, it's just so cool. I love Sky Manipulation, and Earl really shows it off well in this fight. And once again, this is another rare thing we get to see. Base Yuta really gets styled on here. Like, he, once again, I bring it up when I talk about Yuta not holding back in that one video, but Yuta doesn't land a single hit on Uro. She just styles on bro. She doesn't do much damage to him in this interaction. They both kind of neutralize, but for the most part, actually, no, she does do damage. She does literally hit him and he takes damage, but she doesn't do any extreme damage without Thin Icebreaker. But still, the fact that Yuta gets styled on here is crazy, because once again, Yuta's established up to this point to be him. So Uro and Kuro are... Uro and Kuro. I need to do Ben 10 live reactions too. Ben 10 breakdowns. I have to do that. But regardless, like, seeing Earl come out the clutch and really like, ooh, like, to do that and then style on Yuta like this is crazy. I think that's super duper neat. It's something you don't get to see because Yuta had been established as him up to this point, and he really was Himothy, so you couldn't even like deny it. So seeing him actually get pressed a little bit is super neat. I really like that this is the fight that we really get an offer from. This is the first sorcerer outside of Suguru Geto a whole year ago to ever press Yuta in a fight for the first time. I think that's neat. Let's see.
into his ear about him having reverse curse technique, and then the two of them fighting for a little bit, and Yuta just being like, what is her technique? It's really cool in my opinion, and just the discussion that comes from them, and Uro being so angry with how Yuta is as a person because it reminds her of their past. Just, it is a really good fight in my opinion. It also just, like, it's a build-up point from the entire what happened in the last fight, where Yuta's actually asking her if she would kill those people, if Yuta's trying to figure out if he should kill her or spare her. And we see in the end, or at the Sendai fight, actually I'm not going to talk about that yet. I'm going to talk about that when I get to Sendai fight, even though you already know what I'm going to talk about. But yeah, no, this fight is just really cool overall. We also get to see Uro's ability, or at least part of Uro's ability in this fight, where Uro explains that she can turn the sky into a surface. And there's just something about seeing Uro's expressions and seeing her get so annoyed with Yuta that I just enjoy so much.
I forgot about Hakari versus... There we go, that's it. It's not Ryu. It's not Ryu versus Yuta. It's Hakari versus Charles. I completely forgot that fight even happened. That fight would be super low for me. I'll be completely real with you, like... Of the major fights that took, like, a chapter or more, this would be my least favorite. But that's mainly because I really don't like Charles. But to talk a little bit more about Yuta versus Uro, I do really like how whatchamacallit, I do like that Yuta is just mad annoying to someone, like for no other reason than him just being him. She's like, this guy's so like arrogant, he's so stupid, he's just like the Fujiwara, and he just keeps talking at her. Like, notably, I do like that, like how he's like, and also how Yuta gets really savage for like no real apparent reason. He's like, don't you have any friends? A lover? Girlfriend? Boyfriend? Like, what, like, do you have anything to live for outside of violence? Like, Yuta really, like, starts psychiatrically evaluating her, like, no friends? No family? No love? Are you lonely? like he really starts doing that. I don't know. I just find it so funny. Like, once again, it's another side of Yuta you don't really get to see, because Yuta's always like pure happy boy when he's around his friends, but when he's like in the middle of this scenario, he's really like, wow, you suck. You're lonely. That's sad. Like, it's hilarious to me. I love Yuta in that fight. That was really, really good. But Hakari versus Charles, I don't know. Like, Charles' technique is cool. I just really don't like Charles, bro. I don't know why. I don't like Charles at all. Like, he is my least favorite character that gets introduced in the entire Culling game, next to Remy. That's about it. Like, that's it. Those are my two least favorites. But I understand. Like, he has a really cool ability, and it was a really neat fight for the first part of it.
Okay, so this next fight I have a feeling is the one where I'm starting to get a bit more controversial. Hakari versus Charles. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, Hakari versus Charles doesn't belong this high on the list. Why is it this high? Well, you see, I put it this high on the list for one reason and one reason alone, if you're going to comment about this, because I have one quote to say to you all. An otaku like you will always find a reason to pick a fight, even over the simplest thing. Yes, that is the...
Didn't know we were calling people out, Eternal Flame. I didn't know we were calling people out. Alright? I didn't know we were doing that. You know, I trusted you. I trusted you, Eternal Flame. I thought we weren't going to get personal. I thought we were going to keep this strictly business. Eternal Flame, I thought we were going to keep this strictly business. Eternal Flame, you made me do it. Eternal Flame, I could have sworn we were going to keep this strictly business. But Eternal Flame, I'm about to have to get active, Eternal Flame. You can't just call me out like that. You can't just call, because you're right. You're right. And so is Hakari. But you can't just call me out like that, bro. So please, take it back. My feelings are hurt, and I'm about to burst into tears at any moment. So, keep the person out. Nah, no, man. There's a W line. There's a W bar from Hakari. But hold on, let me put this back. Yeah, I guess once again, like, to talk about Hakari versus Charles, like, obviously I just said, oh, I don't like Charles. But that's not a good enough reason to explain why I would have the fight low or how I feel about the fight. I don't know, it just feels like, once again, this does tie back into Charles. It feels like such a cool ability is wasted on such a not a non-character. It's not like I can come out here and be like, Charles is a non-character. In fact, he's full of character. It's just that I don't like his character. And like the future sight ability feels so wasted on him. And the G pen battle staff, and I don't know, like I'm an artist. Well, I'm something of an artist myself, you know. So like it's like I probably should like Charles more, but I don't know, he just doesn't click for me. And like while Hakari's styling on Charles is cool, Charles isn't cool. Like Charles just ain't that guy for me. And seeing Hakari open domain for the first time, I mean it's neat, it's cool and all, it's nice enough, but it's nothing that like I don't know, it's the main, well, cool. It was nice to see it end off a chapter like that. I'll admit, I'm not the biggest fan of Akari's domain either. Like, I think the result of the domain is cool, and I like the motif and aesthetic behind it, but the domain itself is kind of uninteresting to me. It's complicated in the nice way, but it's not, like, interesting to me either. So, like, there's nothing this fight realistically has to offer to me. And I just think it's cool that Hakari blitzes Charles, and, like, blitzes the future. I think that's neat, but that's about it. I don't know. This fight would be super low for me if I was doing this ranking, but I respect why it's up so high for that one bar alone. But let's see.
Main reason that I put this fight as high as I did. And it's just, I love this fight. I love just Hakari versus Charles so much. I love Charles as a character. I don't know why I love him so much. He is fun. He's a fun mangaka. I don't know why. He is amazing. And just seeing Hakari just constantly like, I don't care.
Weeb. You weeb.
It's amazing. Now, is this fight as serious or as many stakes as the other fights? No. Do I like it nonetheless? Yes. Is it narratively, objectively worse? Yes. Do I care? No. It is amazing, and it will be in this position where it belongs just for that panel alone. Good day.
All right. So this is the lowest. This is the lowest. I mean. Like, here's the thing, right? I really like this fight, though. I mean, I like what it does for Maki. I couldn't care about Noritoshi. Daido and what's his name? Mio? Daido and Mio? Like, they're cool and all. But I'm really in this fight for Maki. Like, I could not care less about Naoya. I could not care less about the rest of Team Maki. But in comparison to the rest of the fights, I really like Higuruma, and I love Itadori. So I care about both sides there. I really like Megami. Everybody's eye. I like his technique more. So I think I like Reggie for that. I really like Hakari's personality and what he does with Infinite Cursed Energy, and I really like Kashimo. I love a good smoke demon. And I really like everyone involved in the Sendai free-for-all. The weakest character there is Kurushi, and even then, he's not bad. He's not insulting. He doesn't hurt me. So, like, I really like Ryu, I really like Uro, and I really like Yuta. So like every other fight has more to offer. I only care about one of the 5